Ever since her sophomore album release, One in a Million, Aaliyah along with Timbaland and Missy Elliott were known as a dream team. But as time went on and each of them reached greater heights in the industry, everything wasn't always so dreamy.
And unfortunately, we weren't talking when she passed. She wasn't talking to Timbaland, or I think her and Missy fell out as well. But we still had love. Everyone was still loving.
Bothers me the most about the live with the death, we just got in an argument. And I never really got to say I'm sorry. But when I was about to say, you know, why are we even tripping? That's when
Obviously,
we got the news.
Before her passing, Aaliyah and Timbaland had some unresolved issues, but what exactly was the cause? With Missy, besides Genuine's interview, there really was no indication that she and Aaliyah fell out, only that they grew distant as their growing careers pulled them in different directions. Let's talk about it. Everyone almost always instantly groups Aaliyah, Timbaland, and Missy together. The dream team, the perfect trio. Many even say they saved her career. But to me, it was a reciprocal business relationship that became personal, leading to their friendship outside of making music. Aaliyah helped Timbaland and Missy by choosing to work with them as an already big name in the industry for her sophomore album. She took a risk with them that greatly paid off, since as Missy said, Aaliyah had a great ear for great music. Their sound for this Aaliyah album, which became a signature, helped to put their talent on a wide scale for many in the industry to marvel after. It didn't start off easy though. In fact, when One in a Million first dropped as a single, many radio stations refused to play it because it didn't line up right with the other songs at the time they currently had in rotation. That sound was revolutionary. Point blank, period. Now most of us know Timbaland and Missy been out way before they even started working with Aaliyah, but One in a Million helped to put their production, vocal arrangement, and songwriting skills on the map. Timbaland and Missy helped push Aaliyah's sound into a new era, a fresh sound that many of her peers would want to replicate, including Mariah Carey and Brandy.
I mean, I was so inspired by Aaliyah. I was so inspired by her. My entire Never Say Never album is like paying homage to her album that she did with Timbaland.
This was a sound that catapulted One in a Million to multi-platinum success. Those tracks they wrote and produced really helped Aaliyah out of the funk she was in from her first album. Y'all know what I mean. They could have wrote and produced those songs for any artist to sing, but it was Aaliyah's vocals that made it the perfect formula. For some producers, when they make magic with a certain artist, they want to keep making that magic with them, and they then develop an entitlement. But when that artist decides to make magic with other producers to push their sound in another direction, some of them don't know how to handle it. This appeared to be the very case with Timbaland regarding Aaliyah's self-titled album. Aaliyah had always spoke highly of Timbaland.
It really is magic. Ever since Tim and I met, we just clicked. So when we go into the studio, he's playing the track, I'm telling him what I'm feeling, and it just evolves from there. You know?
The only difference was that Timbaland was not as involved with this album like he was with One in a Million. He only ended up producing 2 songs for the album, We Need a Resolution and More Than a Woman, which both became singles, but that's where it ended. We Need a Resolution was also the first single released for the album, but it was only a moderate hit compared to the previous monster hits together, Try Again, and from a few years prior, Are You That Somebody? And side note, logically speaking, from a fan point of view, and based on the music videos, don't y'all think it would have made more sense for More Than a Woman to be released as a first single in the springtime to give the album its most momentum, Rock the Boat as a summer single to keep the sales strong, and We Need a Resolution as a fall-time single to even everything out? But I digress. During the recording of this album, Aaliyah was in Australia shooting her movie Queen of the Dam, as her acting career was soaring. She would shoot her scenes during the day and record her vocals at night. Aaliyah would end up recording most of her album in Melbourne, Australia, only surrounded with Blackground's in-house producers, featuring Buddha, J-Dub, Eric Seats, and Rapture. As the demand for Timbaland's production skills grew, he did not have the time to travel to Australia to contribute more to the album. Aaliyah was also in a phase where she wanted to experiment with her sound and try new things with new producers. This somehow left Timbaland feeling isolated, even with the 2 tracks Aaliyah pushed hard for him to produce. In a way, it's presumed he felt a bitterness in not being the main producer for this album like he was for One in a Million, and they grew distant as Aaliyah's promo tour kicked in to overdrive. This could even relate to the partnership between Michael Jackson and Quincy Jones. Right off the cusp of The Wiz, you had Off the Wall, Thriller, self-explanatory, and Bad. All great albums, all great bodies of work, all major successes that Quincy still gloats about to this day. However, when Michael decided to switch creative directions for his Dangerous album and use more current producers at the time, like Teddy Riley, Quincy developed a bitterness and shaded the album as Michael just wanted to chase the charts. In regards to Missy, something noticeable is that she only had one contribution to Aaliyah's last album, the song I Care For You. The most ironic thing is that the song was done during the 1 in a Million recording sessions, but was later held until this album. So technically, Missy and Aaliyah did not work together at all for the album. This may lead to speculation of a failing friendship which melted over into the business side of things. Yet, the true culprit was their grueling, conflicting schedules. Missy had just released her album, So Addictive, a few months prior and was literally booked and busy. When she wasn't producing and writing for herself, she was producing, writing, and managing for other artists, so her plate was really full. Aaliyah's longtime collaborator, Static Major, had taken the role of being a prominent songwriter for the album, and Missy's schedule also did not allow her to fly to Australia. Nevertheless, the love between Aaliyah and Missy seemed to remain mutual, even with their careers pulling them apart. As mentioned in the previous video, by this time, you barely saw Aaliyah hang out with any other Super Friends group. Their close-knit bond had started to dwindle as label demands further separated them. Before Aaliyah, Timbaland, and Missy could come together again, it was too little, too late. In the days after Aaliyah's passing, Missy, Timbaland, and Genuine would come together at the 2001 VMAs to pay tribute to Aaliyah, along with Janet Jackson and her brother Rashad. All very visibly and deeply sad and hurt, as it was all still so fresh. But their tributes would not stop there. A few weeks later, Missy would release the single Takeaway with this accompanying music video featuring Genuine and Tweet. This was all in dedication for Aaliyah, and it had a very somber tone until the end of the video. How many of y'all remember the slight controversy this video had when at the end, Missy started rapping, "This is for all my people, this is for all my people," in a more upbeat tone with people partying in the background. This was Missy's attempt to lift people's spirits after 9/11. However, many felt like this mirrored real life, as some would say 9/11 overshadowed Aaliyah's passing, even though it happened almost 3 weeks after. The Miss You video was another tribute done for Aaliyah. Released as a posthumous single, the video showcased Aaliyah's friends and peers all lip-syncing to her lyrics. It should be noted that Timbaland was a no-show, while Missy was there front and center with Lil' Kim wearing a jacket with Aaliyah's face on it. Missy stayed going hard for Aaliyah. Maybe there was a reasonable explanation for Timbaland not being in the video, but it did always stand out. From then on, Missy also made sure to feature Aaliyah in her following music videos, such as Work It and Gossip Folks. Throughout the last 20 years, Missy continued and still continues to rep hard for Aaliyah, always shouting her out during her award acceptance speeches and via social media. Timbaland has also followed suit, although in comparison to Missy over the last 20 years, the efforts have not been the same. Now, like it's always said, everyone grieves and gives tributes in different ways, but that was something worth noting. Another situation some fans point out is when it came to Aaliyah's unreleased catalog. Back then, Missy and Timbaland seemed kind of indifferent and nonchalant about it. Eventually, out of nowhere, Drake was in a position where he was able to buy her catalog and make new music. He went on to scrap the project because of the major backlash, but some often wondered, why couldn't Timbaland and Missy buy her catalog, being her close friends and collaborators? Just for more context, as some of us know, the legal issues around Aaliyah's music were abundant, and Aaliyah's uncle Barry Hankerson was not on the best terms with either of them. Regardless, even with the hassle of the music industry and the rift it could have put on the friendships between Aaliyah, Timbaland, and Missy, they all made legendary music together that will last a lifetime. Please don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. I guess one could say some of the biggest lessons here are to not take people for granted, and if a relationship or friendship is worth mending or fixing, to do it as fast as possible, since time is guaranteed to no one.
With the loss, you learn to love the people while they're here on earth, and not take for granted of people that you see all the time that they're gonna be here forever.
I'ma love you anyway.